Okay, so in this video we are going to look at inequalities, ongelykhede. So it works exactly on the same principle as the previous video where I showed you how to solve for x. The only difference is now you have a greater than or a less than sign. So let's start with that. Alright, so let's say I give it to you like this. And I give you an x and I give you a 0. What does this mean? Alright, so you look, where is the bigger part of this sign? Okay, this is obviously the big part. Oh my word, why is it making doing that? Alright, so this is obviously my big part. Alright, and it's showing towards the 0, which tells me 0 has to be my bigger number. And then this part is obviously my point. And my point is always pointing towards the smaller number. So what is this telling me? It's telling me that x is smaller than 0. So now just putting this in nice mathematical language, it basically tells me x is less than 0. Alright, obviously if it was pointing towards the other way, so x, let's put that somewhere there for interest's sake. Once again, I go and look, where is my bigger part of my sign pointing towards? So it's pointing towards my x, which tells me my x is going to be the bigger one. And then the point is pointing towards my 0, which tells me my 0 is going to be my smaller part. So in other words, this is telling me x is bigger than 0. So putting that into nice mathematical language, it basically means that x is greater than 0. So in Afrikaans sê jy gesê hierso x is kleiner as 0 en hierso sê jy x is groter as 0. Alright, but now I'm not done, because what is different here? Now I have this line here as well. And what does that mean? That means equal. Gelijk. So this actually means that x is greater than or equal to 0. X is groter as of gelijk aan 0. Okay, so that's the only thing that makes this an inequality. Meaning, I'm not telling you this is 0. I'm telling you that the numbers can be anything less than 0, meaning a -1, a -2, a -3, a -4. Or if I tell you x is greater than 0, it means it can be any number bigger than 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Okay, now let's get to the actual sums. So let's say they give us something like -3x greater or equal to x minus 12. Okay, and I now need to calculate this. So once again, the same principles apply. I only have an x. Okay, here I have an x and here I have an x. Now I cannot have x on both sides, so I have to take the x over. And what happens when this x goes over? It becomes minus x. So now I have minus 3x minus that x, and then I have my negative 12. So what is minus 3x minus x? It gives me minus 4x is greater or equal to negative 12. And now, to get rid of this negative 4, I have to divide both sides by negative 4. And now an interesting thing happens. I had x, okay, so that gives me that. And then what's negative 12 divided by negative 4? It gives me 3. Now, do you see the sign changed? Here it was a negative, and now I have a positive 3. So, because I divide with a negative, this sign here changes from a negative to a positive, which means that this sign also has to change. So I'm going to turn it around. So where x was greater than negative 12, now x is going to be less than 3. So that's an important thing. So when you divide with a minus, your inequality sign has to flip. Okay, So x less than 3. And if I ask you now to draw this on a number line, okay, so hulle vir jou sê sit dit op 'n getalle lyn, then I basically I draw my number line. I'm not going to put in all the values. You are now big children. You don't need to do that. But what's the one important value I need to mention? The one which was in your answer. So I need to tell them, okay, here is 3. And now x is either going to go and be less than 3 or it's going to be more than 3. So what is it going to be? It's going to go and it's going to be less than 3. Where is it pointing towards? It's pointing towards my left, which means my arrow also has to go towards my left. Alright, and now you must just decide, is it going to be an open circle or a closed circle? So remember, open circle is when it's not equal. Okay, and a closed circle, so colored in circles, when it is equal. So does this have my equality sign? Yes. There is my equality sign, which means it is going to be equal. So I'm going to make a colored in circle. And there's my answer. Okay, let's look at another one. Just for extra practice. Alright, let's say I have 2x x minus 5. Okay? Alright, so what happens now? Once again, I cannot have an x on both sides of my inequality. So this x here has to go over. And when it goes over, it becomes negative x. So now I have 2x minus x less than or equal to negative 5. So what is 2x minus x? It's just going to become x. Is there anything else I need to do? No. Is my sign here changing? No, because I'm not dividing with a negative. So if I have to draw this on a number line, the only important value is this negative 5. So I need to go and plot my negative 5. And then I need to decide, is x less than or greater than? If you're confused, look at where your inequality sign is pointing towards. It's saying that my x is on the smaller side. So it has to be less than negative 5, meaning it has to go to the left. And now I have to decide, is it going to be an open circle or a closed circle? So because this is an equal sign, it means here I'm going to have a colored in circle. Okay. So inequalities really isn't difficult. You must just get x alone. Remember, if you divide with a negative, your inequality sign has to flip. And then colored in dot when there's an equal sign at the bottom, not equal, it's an open circle, and then your arrow goes in the same way as your inequality. So let's say you got x greater than 5, and you had to plot that, then the only important value is my 5. So I put in my 5, and now I have to ask myself, is it going to go to the right or to the left? Well, x is on the bigger side, meaning x has to be bigger than 5, and even you can check in which way is this arrow pointing. It's pointing towards the right. So this has to go towards the right. And then is it going to be an open circle or a closed circle? Well, seeing as though there's no inequality there or no equal sign, it's going to be an open circle.